Ladies and gentlemen, what's that?
Never mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here at that conference. This is another Ask That. We are live during lunch. Smile for Brandon. Little special episode today, something that I've been wanting to do, which is have a conversation with my wife, who is extremely nervous at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not a big camera, all eyes on me kind of
No
person.
cameras.
Nope.
So,
But it's nice to see you.
It is nice to see you too.
I haven't seen you in like 5 days.
You know what? Ironically, that's kind of the thing. I can't get seated right. I'm not sure where I should sit next to you. Ironically, that's the thing I want to talk about. But before we get there, do you want to introduce yourself or should I introduce you?
You can introduce me.
I can introduce you?
Sure.
Will that get you through the nerves?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right. So we're married. We've been
Yes.
married for soon to be 15 years.
Yep.
2 kids. And we run 2 businesses, right? That
Yes.
Conference and Unspecified.
Yes.
I guess I'm the tech, and you're
You're the tech and the visionary.
and you're the finances and keeping me straight, and the lawyers, and
And the operations.
love to call it COO, but because we run our own business, it's pretty much everything and everything.
Yes.
So, from sanding and painting to cutting invoices.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, the conversation that I want to have with you today is this, right? When you look out and you see everybody, what's kind of the first thing that you think of?
It's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. Now, for the people that don't know, you kind of got looped into this without even knowing.
So do we tell that story?
Sure.
So, 12 years ago? Maybe?
Yeah.
Nah, maybe
No.
8.
No.
Maybe
Yeah.
8.
Not 8 or
8.
9.
I don't really remember exactly how it happened, other than the fact that Clark came home one day and said he started a business. And I knew nothing of the sort. Yet, so he started planning that conference, and there were a couple other people involved. And it got to a point where we were maybe like 6 months out.
Yeah.
And I remember us having a conversation, and you're like, having me look at some of this stuff. Because from a work perspective, we've always kind of reviewed each other's work. I remember looking at the contract, I think it was the contract for the Kalahari, saying, this makes no sense to me. How are you going to make this work? Right? And all the rooms we had and the
Right.
timing
Commitments
of everything.
and-
Yeah, like, you've committed to this, so contracts were signed, and I had no idea. And so I did get roped in pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see you succeed. I wanted to see it be successful.
Or our house stay.
That too.
Do you have regrets about that?
I don't have regrets. In fact, if anything, you've pushed me more out of my comfort zone to do something like this, because we've talked about this before. If you would have come to me and said, I want to start a business to go do this, what do you think? I would say, no way.
Yeah.
I'm not the risk taker in the family. You are.
And
I don't know that we would have gotten to where we are today if you hadn't just kind of made that leap. And then it's obviously evolved once you and I kind of talk through things together. But initially, I'm a little bit more apprehensive, right? Which is why I do budget, right? Let's do the worst case scenario.
This gives me panic attacks.
Yeah. And so I think that's one of the reasons why we work really well together. Just have different perspectives on things, and we're able to talk about it and figure out how we can make it work.
It's funny. I think it's a little bit disingenuous to say, like, hey, you went out and started a business. We, at the time when that had all happened, we needed to have a company to sign the paperwork, right? It wasn't like there was this like notion of, oh, we're going to make a business that does a thing. It was, we're going to have a conference, and oh, by the way, apparently we have to have a company, and oh my goodness, there's commitments, and I guess that means we need a lawyer and a name,
You have to have a credit card.
Right. Like there was all this other, I'll call it the institution that had to happen, but I never really thought of it as a business, and especially not like we do today. But I do really remember us coming home from the first year and being almost $20,000 in the hole and thinking, oh, we can't do it like we've done it.
Right.
Like we're never going to make it to year 2.
Right.
If we don't treat it like a business,
right,
And then it was, okay, well, what does that
Yeah,
mean?
the business was almost a byproduct of wanting to
Yeah.
do the conference.
And now fast forward, and we've got 1,700 people here, and I think that business notion is evolving yet again to where we're asking others for help as to finances and I don't know, sponsor revenue generation and
Right. Well, and it started as
expenses.
something on the side, right? You had a
Yeah.
full-time job. I was home with the kids, and hey, let's do this conference on the side.
Yeah.
And first year at 400 people, we made it work, and now we're at 1,700 people, and it's a full year-round,
Right.
full-time job for both of us.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I don't think people necessarily realize that. You get a stack of job orders, literally like about that thick. Every room, every hour, every day. They work by a piece of paper, and it seems archaic, but it's the reality, right? And that has to be reviewed, and
I mean, I'm a detail-oriented person. You know this.
yep,
Right?
you're a closer.
But it is insane the level of detail to put on something like
Yeah.
this. Like, it's almost too much. Like, I don't want to read through the 1,000-page event orders that we have at the Kalahari just to put this on.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because it could be better. It could be different. It doesn't need to be the way it is today, and it's littered with opportunity for error and whatever. But notwithstanding, it's the reality of the world that we live in, and so we are going to leave here, Thursday, and we have to close out final bills.
Yep.
We have to get set up for next year. We've got, that'll take 2-3 weeks before all the bills are kind of cleared out and put behind us.
Right.
Meanwhile, we're already looking at contracts to go ahead. We're looking at what does it mean in 2020, 2021, if we were to sign a 3-year, a 4-year, a 5-year contract, or a 1-year contract.
Right.
What does that mean financially for us, for our people, the community? We're taking bets out on things that 5 years out there.
Well,
And
that's what I was going to say. Like, how do we evolve from where we're at today? How do we know where we want to be in 5 years? Yet we need to sign contracts and be thinking of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's hard to know where it will go to, yet we have to make decisions now 4 or 5 years out.
Yeah. I think others have said it, so I'll just parrot what they've said, that we're a bit of a unique couple in the sense that we work in a 200, 300 square foot office and shoulder to shoulder.
In fairness, it's 400, but we have a couch on one side and then our desks are scrunched in the corner.
Yeah, we actually don't use the other side.
Yeah.
But, it is a grind. It does get stressful. The kids get to hear this stuff at the dinner times and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think you'd share the fact that I don't know that I would change it.
I wouldn't change it. I think the biggest challenge for me is finding the balance between the work, and this is for most working parents, I would say, that we're no different.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that both of us work from home.
Right.
And so in the summers when the kids are home, they think we're home and don't really realize that there are times that we are working.
Right. Our summers aren't like a vacation. Our summers are busy.
With
this. We're in the final ramp up, and
and
they're helping. We're making them work now too.
Yeah.
I know they like that, but
it's challenging, kind of trying to find that balance between being a mom and a parent and being there and doing things in the summer for your kids, yet also being able to, put on something for 1,700 people.
Yeah.
And making it a success and trying to do the best job you can and, handle all the last minute emails that come in and the last minute issues that arise and balance the priorities between, or my kid needs me more at this point. And I don't think we're unique in that sense. I think a lot of different families struggle with that as well.
We're just unique in the sense that our thing is the same thing. And so if I'm busy, you're busy.
Right.
And when we're not busy, we're not busy. Like, they pretty much go in parity with one another.
Yeah. Yeah, except we have our roles pretty well defined between the two of us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Which is which is good. So I don't know how. I don't know.
Just works.
It just works.
Just works.
Right.
What, we got 1,700 people here. It's kind of hard to fathom that we've grown to that level of, and to be fair, when I say we, I mean everybody who's involved in it, not just you
Absolutely.
and I. I don't want to not include by any stretch, but our first year we had literally tents up here to fill space in a convention center because we thought it was going to be echoey and empty.
And not only that, we ran out the day before the conference started to Walmart and
bought all of
tents
them. Yep.
so that it wouldn't look as empty anymore.
Right.
And
now
then we had one sign on the back wall.
It might as well have been spray painted.
Right.
And now we can't even fit everybody in here.
Right.
There's, what did we set this up for? 1,100, something like that, a little over 1,100. And the tables are almost on top of the stage, and good challenges to have. I think it's been interesting to see as we've grown that the diversity has changed. Things start to get more and more diverse, which gets closer and closer to our mission of having a good community of people. And you can't have that good community without having a diverse set of people.
Right.
Right. You just don't get the differences in that. So, and the kids are a piece of that too, right? The more kids we have, the more diverse.
Right.
It helps shape the adults.
I mean, I think you'd agree with this. I mean, I still think there's a lot of people out there that we haven't even tapped into.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 1,100 sounds like a lot, but the reality is this could easily be 10,000 people.
Right.
Easily. And
right.
people just don't know. High school students don't know. The college students don't know.
That's a piece that you've been
60,000.
How do we get students more involved? And it's difficult.
Yeah.
When you're at a convention center that has costs for food and
yeah.
I mean,
it's a lot.
It's hard.
A roll is expensive. A dinner roll.
Right. The fork, the utensil.
Put it down. What's been some of your fondest memories?
Fondest memories of working together, of
just all of this. I mean, the past 8 years.
I would say one of the things for me is one, being able to see you up on stage and see you in action and see you excited about what we're doing. You worked in corporate America for
too long.
A long time, right? And I was the stay-at-home mom with the little kids, and you would go off to conferences, right? You would go off and travel and work and come home, and I never got to be a part of that. So for me now, I get to be here. Now, granted, we're doing this somewhat together, but I get to see some of the things, and not having a tech background like most of the people here.
Yeah.
I mean, my background's in HR. It's interesting that I can now see your world and kind of see the community around the tech world that I would have never had exposure to before.
Yeah.
So that's neat. And another piece for me would be, watching our kids grow up and seeing their excitement over what we've created. Yeah,
their lens is a lot different, right? Their excitement isn't to go to the sessions. Their excitement is the show.
Right.
And I was telling
the ribbons on
right. And I was telling folks last night, like, our kids haven't gone to sessions.
No.
Like, by the time we get here, they're not interested in it really. They're interested in helping and being part of the staff, and I think they like a bit of the title, if you will. And now they're starting to work for it. But here we created this giant family show, and one, we don't really get to see them, so that's one problem.
Right.
Two, we don't get to see each other. This is the most we've actually talked since we've been here.
I know.
Since Thursday?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which
kind of nice.
It is nice. Hi.
Hi.
I'm husband. But people don't realize. I mean, our crew understands and sees it, but
right.
We just don't see each other. Like,
we don't.
I don't think I saw you at all yesterday.
No. It's more like a passing. Even or like,
but not down the same hallways. It's like
gone.
Two separate hallways.
Right. But I was going to say, when you're talking about the kids, and not going to sessions. As a family, when we're together working or at the dinner table, we're not talking about the sessions. We're talking about the execution of how we're making this whole thing work. So they don't necessarily get exposure just because of us. We're not talking about, oh, this session and this session.
Right.
We've selected those sessions. Now we're trying to figure out how we can make everyone around that successful.
Yeah.
So we could probably
they never even hear any of that stuff. Yeah. Is that
and we're not chaperoning them when they're here too. So.
Well, there's no way we ever could.
Right. So if they want to be at the water park, it's not us taking them there.
Yeah. Is that disingenuous of us?
I think we need to figure out a way where we can carve out, instead of having bits and pieces of time with them, just down here, because they come down here to see us.
Come down and say hi, and then they leave.
Right, or they come down and we'll go to the lobby and have breakfast together or something if we can get away. I think we need to carve out, whether it's a day or half day, at some point where both of us can get away and just go to the water park with them. I think they need that.
I've never been to the outdoor water park.
No, me neither.
I mean,
I've seen it.
8 years. The times we've come up out of season to meet with the folks here, has always been in the winter. Right. So it's closed.
So we've gone to the indoor, but no, never the outdoor. So I think we need to figure out next year how we do that.
Yeah. And we get down to the end. I mean, I guess we could always stay longer, but it's like, nope, need to go home.
No,
Vegas is done.
It's Thursday.
Vegas is done.
Let's go, please.
How fast can we drive?
I don't know. 7 days at a water park, your convention
that's
center
hazing.
is kind of a long time, I think.
Yeah.
I miss the dog.
I miss my bed. It's been a lot of fun. I've said this a million times. I've said this every year, and it's really hard to articulate it. But we couldn't do this without you. There's no.
You say that, but you could.
How? No. You think about all the stuff all the little conversations that we have about the moments around a thing, about.
Yeah.
You're making it something about just finances. You could find an accountant to do a finance and take an invoice. Right. That's not really it. When we make a decision about finances, we're making a decision about how we're going to interact with a moment, right? We've talked about, if we cut this or add this, how does that change the budget against what we're going to do from a company? And more importantly, part of that dimension is, what does that mean for the interaction of the people who are here?
Right. What's the perception?
Right. And it gets down to like the number of chairs, how far they're spaced apart.
Right.
What? And when we say the details, those details are, we're going to add 4 feet to the stage. Where does that sit in a convention center? How many tables is that? Does that remove tables? What if there's a table in front? Does the camera clear the tables? What if they get up during it? It is so nuanced.
Right. It just made me think of, do you remember the first year when we only had about 300-400 people? And at the table rounds, I think there were 6 chairs at each table round. And we made sure to turn the chairs all so they were forward facing.
Yeah.
So that no one had their back to the stage. Such a small detail. But I remember that. Trying to get everyone to have a good angle or view. If you're in the far corner, the table at least being able to see a screen. Or maybe we just overthink it.
Maybe. But I remember, let's tell the story. I remember coming in the back way. The room was completely empty. What is this? 10,000 square feet? No, 20,000 square feet. Are each of these 2,500?
The whole thing, yeah.
The whole thing's 20?
Yeah.
I remember coming in the back and stepping in and talking, just us talking, and hearing it echo.
Right.
And thinking, oh, we're screwed.
Is this the first year?
This is year 1. We're screwed. We have 400 people, and this is walking into the Soldier Field and going, I thought we were going to fill the place. It holds 75,000 people.
Well, that's why the buffet lines are actually in 4 and 5.
Right. So how did we get around that? We put up that wall. We put all the food in the back, and we immediately took off 5,000 square feet.
Right.
So then we wanted to take off another 5,000 square feet. So we took
So we moved the stage out.
whatever we could get. We pulled the
further.
stage as far out as we could pull it without it looking so obvious that we pulled it out.
Right.
We went to Walmart, bought every single tent that we could get,
Right.
big, small, little, put them all up front, bought Christmas trees and camping gear and
Yeah.
whatever to go on point of theme to fill up all of these spaces. Took the biggest tables that we could get, put the least amount of chairs, spread them way out,
Right.
added extra water stations and all that so it looked like it was full, and suddenly 400 people felt like they were part of something, not like
Felt more
nobody showed
intimate
up.
than
Right,
a big empty open
Right.
space.
because 400 people in 20,000 square feet could look like a very. That was even at that time that was a big thing,
Yeah.
but it could be perceived very differently.
But then you decided to stand against the wall where all the light switches were during the keynote,
Yep.
and all the AV and all the lights went off.
Yeah, the little radio on the back that hit the panel.
Yeah. I remember
Yep.
getting a call
I
like,
get a panic
the
attack
lights
just
are
thinking
off.
about that.
The lights are off in month rate. I'm like, I don't know. What do I do?
Right. Yeah. We've
So-
come a long way.
We have, but there's a lot of conversation around all these small things, right? All of like what you were just talking about, moving the chairs and making it look bigger. I mean, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. We've gotten smarter. We hired a production
Yeah.
company to help with a lot of that.
Yep.
To take
We've
that
hired
off our
help.
plate. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not
Yeah.
like there's a giant staff. I think people are always surprised to hear that, maybe there's 6 people throughout the year who, log in every week to work on it.
Right.
And when we get to day of, what do we have? Maybe 10 folks plus our set. I mean, what are we, 10 total in totality plus the stage
I'd say
crew?
20. There's 20.
20 blue shirts?
Yeah.
It seems a little high. You count kids?
No.
Oh.
It was just the Jimmy John's order I put in the
Oh,
other night.
okay,
It
well
was
then-
20 Jimmy John's sandwiches for
There
everyone
was-
who worked registration.
Okay, well then we got 20.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't change it.
No, I think we need to get better in you and I delegating things.
That's always the case.
Right?
I agree.
We know that. Right now we have volunteers, and we rely on those folks, and luckily, they step up.
Keep coming back.
They keep coming back for some reason.
What
Maybe because we give them a T-shirt. I don't know.
do?
Yeah.
What are you excited about to come? Because there's a lot of big changes coming.
I'm excited to see it change, to be honest with you.
We made
I
some big
feel
changes this year.
like
I feel like they
we
were big.
have.
Maybe they weren't as big as I feel like they are.
We have. I'm excited that the convention center space is expanding
Yeah.
because I think there's a lot more opportunity with family to
Be involved.
expand upon that. Yeah, I mean, families definitely. It's great seeing all the families around, in that aspect of it. But we also have the professional aspect of it as well. And I think having more space, we can kind of fine tune that better.
Yeah.
I'm
and
excited
people.
about that, but I feel like I don't know. I don't know what's going to change or how, but I
Yeah.
feel like it needs to evolve.
Yeah.
This is the 7th year. We've done some things, but I don't know. I just
I
feel
was,
like it's time.
yeah, I do too. I was talking to a gentleman earlier today who we've connected through social media and finally got to meet face to face. And his comment was, and this is something that I think wakes me up in the middle of the night, was I've always heard about you guys, or I hear about you from time to time. But I didn't, I just took it as kind of a small conference. It's like, but then I
Yeah.
show up and it's something completely different. It's large, it's diverse, it's family, and it was nothing that I expected. And I feel like, I mean, we just have so much work to really tell the story.
I was going to say,
Which is
so how
ironic.
do we? We struggled. Like, how do we get the word out of this experience? It's hard to sit there and tell somebody it's a conference. We do that, but
We have
until you actually
kids.
experience it and see the people in the hallway and see the sponsors interacting with children and kids. I mean, it's really amazing, but how do you explain that an
Yeah.
experience to somebody
Right.
other than through word of mouth or a coworker?
Right.
I
Or
don't. I think
video.
it's a challenge
But that's
for
just a
us.
trust issue on somebody's part. Like
True.
they inherently trusting you because you said, "Hey, this thing's cool. You should do it."
Right.
And that's not.
Which is great because we need
Yeah.
that, right? Word of mouth, I think it's
necessary,
great. But
yeah.
I think from a business perspective, how do
It's
we?
not a plan.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that we haven't tapped into.
You and I have talked about this a lot. Not something that we've really shared. There's a few Easter eggs this year. How do you feel about potentially doing something somewhere else?
Oh, that makes me nervous. That's my first reaction.
Nervous, like, oh, we're gonna create a business. Like, don't tell me. Or nervous in a different way.
That I don't want another one just because I
No,
know.
I meant like in the
involved
beginning. In the beginning, if I would have told you we were going to create a
you know
business.
what it is. I mean, we're in Illinois, right? And the conference is in the Dells.
Yep.
So our house year round is full of that conference stuff. My poor dining room.
We lose it in July.
We lose it
in July,
right? And there's stuff on the table, and then
we
on
lose
the
the
floor.
garage.
You lose the garage. The cars are in the driveway, even during the hailstorms.
I'm pretty sure that our neighbors think we get divorced every August
because there's a big U-Haul.
All the stuff's in the garage getting moved in.
Right? We have a storage unit, and we got to go back and forth to the storage unit and take all the stuff out.
Right? Because we still try to have a home.
Right. And so when I think about expanding somewhere else, I think it's amazing because it's a different geographical location.
Yeah.
Different people. But I don't know how we would do it.
But we didn't know how we would do this in the first place.
But that's why you started it without me. Because
so you're telling me if we're going to expand, then I should just
like,
do
how do we do this? How are we going to get this? Well, what about this? And you're like, I don't know. Just do it. But that's where we kind of balance each other out. So I want to know all the details before we go ahead and do something like that. And sometimes I've learned, and what I've learned from you, sometimes you just have to go do it. Sometimes you have to put yourself out and, not have all the ducks in a row and just go do it, and those will come afterwards. And they will fall into place eventually, but sometimes you set everything up, and if you don't have the vision and the excitement behind it, it will fall apart anyway.
Yeah.
So what are you excited for?
I'm certainly excited for the space. Like you said, I feel like it's hard to be creative with what we have. I feel like the system as we know it, and I don't mean that from that conference perspective, but
what do you mean creative though? Creative how?
Well, we
creative
can't.
The space we have.
Yeah, creative. Like if we wanted to do a full out maker space that requires 3D printers and CNC machines and all, we just don't have space. Like we have a few. Like this year, we took over more rooms.
Right.
Those more rooms are further away and of different shape, size. Cost more money.
Right.
So I'm excited because the space gives us an opportunity to expand in new ways.
Right.
I'm excited to change how we think about a conference. We said last year that we would get back to our roots and stop focusing so much on execution and really focus on the core values of what we're doing and why we're doing that.
Right.
And we started a medium publication, and we started a podcast, and we started doing outreach and really trying to get at the core root of the community, and got back to, the event is really just the reunion. What's the other 365 days of the year look like? Yep. Or 363. And so when you think about it like that, then it changes what you might do at the conference.
Right.
Now it's not just maybe, how can I get more sessions, but, how can new businesses start? How can new people get networked together? Or how are kids teaching adults? I just think the whole, like the value in those sponsors coming, while it is, have a conversation with folks, they're also active participants in the industry, right?
Right.
They should have a deeper role in the experience that's here,
Right.
right? And having a table and doing a thing, it's great. We need the money, we need the support. I think there. I also think it's a model from 20 years ago, and that seems like it's ripe for disruption.
Right. And we've seen some sponsors kind of branch out a little bit instead of doing the
Yeah.
traditional sit at a booth.
Well, we certainly have tried,
Yeah.
and we try to get them to think outside the box.
Right.
We always tell
But
people
that's not easy to do.
it's not, especially if you don't know what it is.
Right.
If you think that this is some family show,
Or a
that sounds
conference
bad.
where you're just trying to get people's contact
Recruit.
info. Yeah.
And
which there's benefit to that, but there is an opportunity for
there's bigger
so much
opportunity,
more
right?
for them.
Right. So that's one thing. I guess it excites me because we've really gone all in to saying, okay, you and I are on our own.
Yeah.
That's scary as hell.
Yeah.
We're trying to work with other business owners to figure out how we can make the finances work, because the reality is this will crush under its own weight.
Yep.
Without us fixing it.
Yes.
I think that's the realization we had after the first year too, right? It was like, oh, if we don't treat this like what it is, we're not going to have something. And now it requires so much of our time that we can't even take on client work because that conference is big enough that it requires us to work full time for multiple months beforehand.
Right.
But
we know we need to make some changes there.
Right, and we've built a bunch of tech, and we're trying to get that in the hands of the rest of the community. And that's exciting. When you're on,
but I can't wait to go home and sleep for the next.
Yeah, I know. But when you're on your own, we have to make every hour produce $1,
right,
to put food on the table. Right. And
we've had to make some decisions. Is your time better spent doing this, A or B? What's more value of what you need to do?
Right.
What should we let go?
Right.
Or can we utilize somebody else to do that piece because your time is better spent doing this thing?
And that's not to be like I'm somehow, supreme or better than somebody. It's when you look at the tasks that need to be done.
Right.
Certain people are better positioned to be successful in those tasks.
Right.
And thus we've had to get people involved so that we could scale better. And it's not just like, hey, we need volunteers to do a thing. It's
we just need help.
Yeah.
At times.
Right. Right. It's hard because, a lot of people offer to help, but there's times where, with Aaron coming, it's like we need help at the house. I've worked remote for a long time, but it's like, no, we need help here.
Right.
I need somebody physically here.
Right.
Who can offload the stuff that we have,
organize it, and
from a day-to-day perspective, or kind of ramping up, or just being a conduit for us too, and that's been good.
Well, it's a learning process for us too.
Yeah, we didn't set out to be event organizers by any stretch, and yet we have a large one.
I told somebody at my yoga class that we were putting on a 1700 conference, and she said, "Oh, are you a corporate event organizer?" I said, "No."
So they were like, "Huh?"
Why? Why would you do that? I get a lot of, "Why do you do this? Why would you do that?"
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a hard
I can't
question
answer
to
that question.
No, I know, and
well,
I feel like
that's
I feel
wrong.
Like I
can't
have an
answer
to
that question. I do this because of this.
Right, but explaining that to somebody who's never been here, is challenging to do. It's not like you have a response, right? Why do you do this? I do it because X, Y, and Z.
Right. Yeah, it's making the intangible network community a real thing.
Right.
All right, we've been riffing for a long time. Is there anything else? I know you were
I'm so glad this is over.
dreadfully scared to do this.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've talked about doing for quite a while.
I think no. You mentioned to me a couple
Oh, right,
months
like starting
ago. You're like,
businesses.
I want you to be an AskTHAT. I'm like, nope, nope, not doing it.
Well, you are.
Not doing it. I know.
I looked at my phone
I
to
thought I'd
see.
step outside the box.
Do you know that we're
just like
recording
everybody
live?
here. Yes,
Okay.
I knew that.
I grabbed my phone. I didn't want to seem like I wasn't present. I grabbed my phone to see if anybody had actually left a comment while we were talking, but it doesn't look like that's the case. Oh, there is 2
Sweet.
comments.
Oh no.
I'm just. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now I don't know how to shut it off. I was curious if there were any questions or whatnot, but there wasn't.
Sweet.
Abort!
Am I
Abort!
done? Abort.
Abort! Abort!
That was my plan. If I got nervous, to say, I'd just be like, abort. I gotta go.
Well, I this has been one of the best years that we've had. It's not business
So, yeah,
wise.
right.
Not business wise.
Just
That's been
experience
super
and-
damn stressful. This has been, we've been able to go to the sessions. I shouldn't say that because that hasn't happened. That's just a lie. I went
No.
I went to an open space. I've been able to be around and present with folks. We're not having to fix fires. The conversations,
Right.
there's conversations happening, not always answering questions. And that's felt really good because I've been able to connect with some folks and do this. We recorded a bunch yesterday. So it's been nice to experience some of what we built
To enjoy
firsthand.
some of what we've
Yeah.
created and actually see the experience and feel it.
Yeah. I don't think it's hard to explain. Like we work so hard through the summer. By the time we get to the conference, we want the conference over. Like we've already had everything. Like there's a point where the boat has set sail and you can't stop it anymore. And then you can't make any more orders because you can't bend physics any longer. Like you just can't physically get any more stuff. And then that time comes, and then there's this huge anticipation and just everything around that first day. That first day where we take the stage and we kick things off, and that's when we send the boat off for everybody else, right?
Exactly. Right.
But at this point, we're drained. Like taking
yeah.
that stage is one of the hardest things. Not like from a speaking perspective, but for the last 363 days out of the year, I've mentally been talking to myself about what I want to say and what I hope that people will do. Like the video we said, where I just want you to record to yourself what it means to you, and but then after,
Well, we get exhausted setting it up and trying to give people the opportunity for them to create their own experiences and make those connections, and we kind of at some point kind of have to hand it off and hopefully
turn your baby over.
Yeah, and hopefully
it's kind of like sending off your kids to college. Like,
well, we haven't experienced that yet.
I know, I'm not ready. Maybe we'll be really good at it though.
Maybe when they start driving.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we actually have an open space. Are you going to participate with me?
I will.
Yeah.
It's not on camera, is it?
No. Maybe
okay,
it
good.
should be. We're going to get drilled. Well, thank you for being on this.
You are welcome.
I'm glad this is almost over and we can go home, hug our kids.
Get some sleep.
Yes. It'd be wrong if I didn't ask you this, but what's community mean to you?
Oh, come on. Why? I thought we were done. It's challenging because I say this may come out wrong. Like the group here, like I don't want to say it's not my community, but from a tech perspective, because I'm not in technology, right?
Tech isn't your passion.
Tech is not my passion. But when I think about community and I think about the groups I'm involved in and the places I go and the people that I feel like are community, I just feel like it's a place that you are accepted for who you are, no matter what you look like. You're just accepted for who you are in a place where other people have similar interests to you.
Do you feel like you have people here?
I do have people here,
Even though
I don't know how to talk tech with anybody.
No, but I think that's important, right? I mean,
Yeah,
just because the main thread is one thing doesn't mean that it has to be the only thing.
Agreed. I mean, community is such a larger word, right, than just tech in and of itself. But I have found people, and I do have to put myself out there.
Yep. Which is hard for you.
Yeah, and I can't have conversations with people around tech, and sometimes that's challenging in a spot where that's a comfort zone for a lot of people here.
Yeah.
But through families and through our staff and just through people that know each other, I mean, I've made a lot of friendships, and these people are great.
Yeah.
I mean,
all over the country.
Yeah, and I love seeing them every year.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a big family, right? Like a family reunion.
Yep.
That you haven't seen them in a while, and you just pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, that's where we're gonna end it.
Sounds good.
All right.
Are you sure?
So are we gonna do this again next year?
Which part?
This part.
Me on camera,
Yeah.
or I don't know.
All right. Well, I never know how to end these. Like, that's it. We're out.
Peace.
We're done. Drop the mic.
See you later.
Jesse's not even paying attention.
Cut.
Abort. Abort.